I want to talk about this report that's come out where it's a self-report, 120,000 men.
Say what you want about me, but I always give credit where credit's due. And there is something impressive about you, Shane. It's your pure fucking audacity. It's your audacity to still be in this space, still trying to garner a social media following or become a DV advocate in this space when you are a prolific DV offender in both physical and psychological DV in the past, and you do continue it to this day, and you have been told by myself and a number of huge creators that this space isn't for you, and it's obvious that you are simply trying to re-traumatize your previous and current victims by being here, right? You know it, we know it, that's fine. But since you continually want to make content in this space, if you're going to talk about a study, you could do the bare fucking minimum and read the study, so I don't have to get on here and correct every point that you've made, which is redundant if you just have fucking read the study. Made this TikTok from a place of bad faith because you're in this whole DV space from a place of bad faith, and you're pandering to an audience like yourself who were perpetrators of DV abuse that now want to portray themselves as the victims. And that's very obvious in your position in this TikTok video. But what you could have done is do some basic research into DV or read the fucking study to find out that every claim you had made was pretty much debunked by that study. One of the positions you keep repeating in that video is that the general public, or most people, which is incorrect, but anyway, that most people and the men who were perpetrating abuse were not aware that emotional and psychological abuse was abuse. They only considered violence as abuse. But you contradicted yourself in the beginning by saying it was a self-report, right? And these men self-reported anonymously that they were committing abuse. Could have read the report. Say that men who perpetrate this type of abuse don't realize that perpetrating violence or abuse in the first place is factually incorrect. And not only is it factually incorrect, it's very rare that men who commit physical abuse start with physical abuse, right? There is a process of tearing someone down psychologically in order to gain that power and control in the first place to get away with the physical abuse. And you'd know this if you actually did some research into DV instead of just pretending to be a DV advocate instead of a previous perpetrator of DV. They know what they're fucking doing is what I'm saying. For your clarification purposes, examples of physical abuse would be the allegations your ex-wife Berinja has made against you in regards to grape, in regards to taking to her with a cheese grater, in regards to physically hurting her numerous times, in regards to hitting her with a metal pole. And an example of psychological abuse would be what you're saying in the video of the after impact of that event and how you're speaking to her. Another example of psychological abuse would be the fact that I know that she has an ABO out against you, which is current, and you're speaking about her on social media, and I've seen you do it, blaming her, saying she's made it all up and she's fucking crazy, etc., or continuing to harass her and her family to this fucking day. Or even the implied threats that you made against myself and other creators for speaking out against you, and even implying that you're tight with bikies, etc., which is fucking hilarious, my brother in Christ, because firstly, there is no bikie I know that's going to go fucking fight your battle for you over people on the internet calling out your behavior. That was just funny, and your connections with the police, etc. That was really funny, by the way. I'm still trying to process that. Clearly you don't even understand how statistics work, because you claimed at the start of the video that over 100,000 men were anonymously surveyed to get this result, and it's called a fucking statistic, bro. Actually, 26,000 men were studied over a 10-year period. The reason that this study was a world first in the first place is because it was reported, self-reported anonymously, and it was one of Australia's largest longitudinal studies ever done in this area and in other areas. And what that actually means is that it involves repeated observations of the same variables, right? Are we on the same page? And you use your confirmation bias to claim that mental health issues are the biggest driving factor behind intimate partner violence, and we need more services for men, which is factually incorrect, because the biggest driving factor or the biggest preventative factor is by having a strong male or fatherly figure in someone's life, not mental health. It was actually severe depression only as the part of mental health that was a driving factor. Those who continually claim that they snapped due to mental health issues, if it wasn't related specifically to severe depression, which most of them aren't, the ones that claim that they snapped in anger is not a depression issue, it's just not reflected in that survey. In fact, there are hundreds to thousands of mental health services dedicated specifically to men. The problem is men refuse to seek help. That's the issue, not the lack of services. The study actually spoke about closing the gap of men seeking help, not a lack of services, of which you claim in that video. Despite any opinion you may have of me, Shane, what you don't realize is that I would actually be on your side if I genuinely thought you were doing this from a good place. And when I say I'd be on your side, I wouldn't think you're a fucking hero, bro. And I never will think anybody who's a previous perpetrator of DV is a fucking hero just because they stopped committing abuse. I'd still be on your side because there is a significant problem in Australia that needs change. Education for men and seeking help is part of that change. And if I thought you were genuinely here trying to do that, I would support you, but we all know you're not. But the research that I've done and the various people I've spoken to in the last month or so about you has painted a very dark picture, and you definitely should not be someone who is speaking in this space. But if you continue to do that, I will continue to speak out against you. Have the day you deserve.